Hello everyone, a very good morning to all of you and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. Okay guys, today's video got a little bit late because there were some technical troubles that came, okay. And one more thing guys that I would like to tell you that in this particular session we are going to discuss all the articles of Hindu and you can download explainer notes of this particular session from Telegram channel. Link for Telegram is given in description box in YouTube. So now let's start with the discussion. Guys, every day we start our newspaper discussion with newspaper overview where we take the newspaper and we'll see that which articles are important and on which page they are published. However, there came some problem. I was not able to open up the e-paper, so therefore we will not be able to take overview for today, but it will come from tomorrow. There was some trouble opening the file, okay, so that was the thing. Now let's start with the let's start with the GS quotation for today. So today we are going to take quotation from Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson, who happens to be one of the founding father of US. He says that information is currency of democracy. Information is the currency of democracy. Now guys, see this particular thing, that when we talk about currency, currency is very much important. Economies any economy depends on the effective circulation of currency. As currency makes an economy viable, in the same way information makes a democracy viable. When we talk about a democracy, democracy is established on the premise of empowerment of common people, and empowerment of common people cannot happen without the exchange of information. So therefore information exchange, information dissemination is very important for the democracy's survival. Okay, now you can use this particular idea for GS paper number 2, issues related to polity, as well as an essay. You can use this particular quotation also in GS paper number 4. Transparency and information sharing as a topic has been mentioned in unit number 7. There also you can use this particular quotation. Now let's move on and let's take first article that we have. So first article that we have today is this: customized mRNA. Customized mRNA is the next frontier in personalized medicine. Okay, this article I have taken from science section of Hindu newspaper. This science page is published towards the last. However, in some of the editions of Hindu newspaper, particularly if you are taking printed edition, science page is not published. So if it is not published in your edition, don't worry, we'll take it up here. So this article, customized mRNA, we are going to take for GS paper number 3, science and technology. And guys, as you have requested that GS paper should also be added in the notes, I have added this GS3 science and technology. This article will see. Now let's take this particular article. Now guys, understand this particular thing. First of all, before going on in this particular article, I would like to give you some basic background information, and once we take this background information, we'll go in this particular article. Okay, just fine. Okay, so guys, see this particular thing. Right now there is one interesting and an important development is going on, and this development is this, that researchers, what they are doing, they are working on cancer vaccines. Okay, they are working on cancer vaccines, and they are actually using mRNA regimen. They are using the mRNA regimen to make cancer vaccines. Let's understand that how these mRNA vaccines can work and how these mRNA vaccines will work for cancer. Now guys, before going on in this particular article, let's understand some basic information which will help you. So guys, you might already be knowing about that certain vaccines that were made during the time of COVID pandemic, they were also based on this mRNA technology. They were also based on this mRNA technique. Okay, so basically guys, if I give you a particular example, Pfizer made a COVID vaccine which was based on mRNA platform. Now what is this mRNA platform? Guys, understand this particular thing. You all might have heard about DNA. You all might have heard about DNA. So DNA is a blueprint of a human's body. Understand this particular thing, that what will be my physical appearance, okay, what will be the texture of my hair, what will be the color of my skin, okay, all these particular things, this information is encoded in the DNA of a particular person. So DNA is a blueprint of a person. Okay, now guys, what this mRNA is all about? M here stands for messenger. Now what mRNAs are? Messenger RNAs. They direct the cells in the human body. They direct the cells in a human body that what type of protein is to be made, what type of proteins is to be made. Now guys, when we talk about a human body, understand this particular thing. Understand this particular thing, that humans, they make 1 lakh different types of proteins, and these proteins are essential for effective functioning of a human body. For example, breaking down of nutrients, carrying out different chemical reactions in our human body, even okay, just a minute. Fine. So basically these particular proteins, they play a vital role, a very important role in humans body, humans, yeah, in humans survival. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that let's go back again on COVID-19. Now you might be knowing this particular thing, that SARS-CoV-2 virus, if you have seen the graphic representation of SARS-CoV-2 virus, we know this particular thing, that this SARS-CoV-2 virus had these spikes, had its these kind of spikes on its surface. And basically these spikes were particularly the most troubling part of this SARS-CoV-2 virus. How? Guys, understand this thing. Suppose a person has inhaled SARS-CoV-2 virus. When that particular virus will enter the body, what will happen? There are ACE, there are ACE, there are ACE2 receptors on the human cell. There are ACE2 receptors on human cell. And what will happen? Through these spikes, this spike will bind with the human cell through this ACE2 receptors. So ACE2 receptors are on our cell, and these ACE2 receptors will bind with these particular spikes. Okay, and by this particular thing, what will happen? This SARS-CoV-2 virus will be able to transport the genetic materials in the cell. Cell will become infested, and then cell will make copies of this particular virus in human body. This is the basic way that how SARS-CoV-2 virus impacts the human. Okay, now understand this particular thing, guys, that what is this mRNA vaccine? So when you are giving this mRNA vaccine, this mRNA vaccine, this mRNA messenger RNA will go in your body and will instruct your cell to make these spikes, to make these spikes. Okay, now what will happen? Your cells will make these spikes. So whatever mRNA tells the cell, cell will do that thing. This mRNA specifically has the information to tell the cell to make these spikes. Now the cell will make the spikes. Now these spikes will be identified as an antigen. These spikes will be identified as an antigen. These spikes will be identified as a foreign body by our immune system. And what our immune system will do? Immune system will fight with these particular spikes. And as immune system is fighting these particular spikes, it will prepare the antibodies. It will prepare an army to fight this particular spike. Okay, and when in real life SARS-CoV-2 virus will enter your body, it will have these spikes. Okay, and the moment these spikes will be there, already our immune system has prepared the antibodies which will fight this particular spike protein, which will fight this particular SARS-CoV-2 virus, and we will not get infected. We will not get infected. So this is the basic technique. This is the basic technique on which mRNA vaccines have worked for COVID. So now what is the basic underlying philosophy? Let's understand this particular thing. So basically what we can do, we can code a particular messenger RNA in the lab, and we can send this messenger RNA in the human body, which will instruct our body's cell to make a particular type of a protein. Okay, and by that particular thing, our body will make different proteins which are deficient either in a particular disease or which are needed to fight a particular disease. So what is happening, rather than giving medicine, Rather than giving them some kind of an external salt, you are preparing your body to fight with a particular situation, or to make a particular protein, or to make a particular enzyme through these mRNAs. Okay, so as in in COVID, we have prepared these mRNA vaccines. Scientists are now looking forward to prepare these mRNA vaccines in a lot many different type of diseases. Okay, so I have provided all this particular information here. Fine. So cells in our body, they create mRNAs to serve the instructions. What mRNA? M stands for messenger, and mRNA contains a message that codes for a protein. Okay. Now I have told you that how in COVID-19 we have used it. Now guys, what scientists are doing? Now understand this particular thing, that first of all, what is a cancer? So in cancer, we see that there is abnormal growth of a particular type of cells. Okay, and often what happens, the cancerous cell, as they grow in the body, they gain mutations and they impact healthy cells. Now what can be done? A particular type of messenger RNA can be injected in the body. Okay, and these messengers can give a message to the normal cells, okay, to not to make the mutated proteins, and to take over the infected cells. Okay, and in this particular case, what we can do, we can trick our immune system, we can trick our body to fight with the cancerous cell. Okay, and certain vaccines such as BioNTech's BNT111, it is a cancer vaccine which is being based onto the mRNA technique. Okay, and it can fight the melanoma cancer, which is a type of a skin cancer. So basically guys, what can be done? These mRNAs can be prepared in the lab, and by these particular mRNAs, okay, by these particular these mRNAs can be prepared in the labs, and by these mRNAs, customized treatment solutions for the people can be prepared. Now guys, understand this particular thing. Particularly whenever you are taking any medicine, it often has a lot of side effects. Unintended impacts on the body are also there. They can also be minimized by these mRNA vaccines. So this is the next step. This is the next step in the customized healthcare, in the customized medication regimen. Okay, now understand, though Kirti has asked a question, sir, won't the spikes that we make affect us? Guys, see this particular thing, that even see, when you are actually taking polio vaccine, even in the polio vaccine, what is being given to you? It is a very weak form of polio virus that is being given to you. That virus is so weak that it does not impact the body. Now guys, when we see the spike protein, when the spike protein is being made in our body, understand this thing, problem is not spike is a way by which the genetic material of SARS-CoV-2 virus is being transported in our cell. But if we remove this particular spike, then the problem will be solved. So spikes are not problematic. Problematic is the genetic material which is carried in the SARS-CoV-2 virus. So therefore spikes will not make us ill. Okay, now moving on to next article, Telecom Bill. Telecom Bill. Now here you have this particular article, Omnibus. Here you have this particular article, Omnibus Telecom Bill in Lok Sabha, legislation to streamline regulation. So this particular article has come in the newspaper. Now guys, understand this particular thing. Two things I would like to tell you. Number one, that in this particular article, they have not covered very exhaustively provisions of Telecom Bill. So what I have done, I have taken reference from Hindustan Times as well as Indian Express also. So content that you are going to see here, it is taken apart from Hindu, it is also being taken from Indian Express and Hindustan Times, number one. Number two guys, very exhaustively we are going to cover this entire issue. But one thing I would like to tell you, that please don't spend too much of energy, too much of resources on this. Why? Because it is just a draft bill. And see, once a draft bill is floated, it will be referred to the parliamentary committees, amendments will come, then when it will come to then what will happen again, there will be some other amendments, etc., that can come. Okay, so my point is that often there will be a lot of changes that comes in a bill till the time it is converted in an act. So therefore no need to go too much in the detail, you need to know the overview. Okay, now let's take this. Okay, so basically what has happened, the government has introduced draft. Draft means it is not a final copy. Draft of the Telecommunication Bill 2023 in the Lok Sabha. Now this particular Telecommunication Bill 2023, this particular bill is going to replace, this particular bill is going to repeal, okay, a lot of laws that have been there with respect to the telecommunication and telegraphy in India. So basically, this Telecom Bill 2023, it will repeal Indian Telegraph Act 1885, Indian Wireless Telegraphy Act 1933, and Telegraph Wire Unlawful Possession Act 1950. Now we know this particular thing, that technologies has evolved so much in the last few years, and understand this thing rather than so now we are not using telegraph today. Today we are using mobile communication. Today we are using internet. Through internet, through email, communications are happening. These particular laws were not having the provisions in this particular capacity. So therefore, Telecommunication Bill 2023 has now been floated. Now, when we talk about this particular bill, it will consolidate the laws related to the development, expansion, operation of telecom services in India. Also, apart from repealing these three particular acts that I have told you, this particular bill will also be amending the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India Act 1997, and will also bring cable TV network as licenses under it. Okay, so cable TV network will also be brought. Now, what we are going to see? We are going to see brief provisions of this Telecom Bill 2023. What are these brief provisions? And over the weeks, many more editorials will also be published for sure, identifying, taking up particular provision and criticizing it, telling that how it is good, how it is bad. Okay, so that analytical part will anyhow be coming in the days to come. Now, so basically, what are the brief provisions of this particular bill? Now, first of all, as we talk about this particular bill, the bill requires telecommunication service providers to force people to submit the verifiable biometric based identification. Now understand this thing. You want to, let's say you want to take a new mobile connection, you want to buy a new mobile phone SIM card. Fine. So it provides that biometrically identifiable ID needs to be given. Now, what is the biometric identity that we are having today? It is the Aadhaar card. So it has made compulsory that to buy any mobile phone connection or to buy any internet connection, you have to give your biometric ID, that is the Aadhaar card. Now, this particular provision will be criticized in the days to come. Why? Because guys, when we talk about Supreme Court in 2018 judgment has very clearly provided this particular thing, that mobile connections cannot be linked with the Aadhaar ID. It is not mandatory, you cannot force, but bill has brought this particular provision. Okay, the next provision that has come here is that, see, on the licensing front, this particular bill wants to make the process easy. On licensing front, it aims to liberalize the process. Now guys, understand this thing, that what they have done, over different 100 different types of licenses, they have been bundled up in three categories. Okay, that is licenses for telecom services, licenses for telecom networks, and licenses for radio equipments. Okay, so licensing regime has been regime has been simplified. Then the next thing that comes in this particular capacity is that government has also what government has done, government has also prioritized auctioning the spectrum, fine, for all the things except for the 19 reasons. Now see this thing, let's say you want to do, let's say a telecom operator wants to do broadcast, wants to propagate any telecom service. Okay, so the licenses will be given for all the things. There are 19 reasons for which the broadcasting license, telecom spectrum will not be given, and these 19 reasons relate to the security, fine, national interest, such as like these particular things. Okay, now for example, national security, defense, law enforcement, crime prevention. Okay, For these particular, if these particular reasons are there, then the broadcasting license will not be given. Otherwise, it will be given. Okay. Then also, what has happened? Government has also provided that it will allocate the satellite spectrums also. Now, guys, in the past few months, or actually in the past 2-3 years, one satellite communication has also evolved too much. Now, guys, understand this particular thing, that we have Airtel's OneWeb, Geo's satellite communication, Elon Musk. Elon Musk has come out with the Starlink. Amazon has come out with the Project Kuiper. Now, what these satellite communication services? So basically, these particular companies such as Airtel, okay, Elon Musk, Starlink, fine, Geo, Amazon, what they are going to do? They are going to launch hundreds of satellites. And through these particular satellites, internet will be beamed. And even the jungles, forest, inaccessible areas where internet was not available earlier, now through satellites directly, internet can be beamed there. Okay. Now, these particular satellite internets, permission will be given to these particular companies, but it will be given through a special administrative process. Then also, pricing of spectrum will remain under TRAI's domain. TRAI's Telecom Regulatory Authority of India's domain. And then the next the next thing that comes here is that basically in this particular bill, they have also taken over the issue of right of way. Now let's understand that what is this right of way issue. Now see, this particular thing, that we have to deploy mobile networks, we need to deploy the infrastructure for mobile towers, etc. Now see this particular thing. Suppose this particular area is there. Which is not having internet connection, which is not having any telecom infrastructure. Okay. And let's say Airtel wants to deploy a mobile tower here. Now, what will happen? Suppose this particular piece of land is there. This is a private land. And owner of this particular land does not allows Airtel to deploy a tower. They say that I will not allow you to deploy the tower. Okay. Now, if Airtel is not able to deploy the tower here, how they can take their infrastructure forward? How they can take their infrastructure ahead? And many number of times what has happened, people particularly having the private lands, they have not given the permission to mobile infrastructure companies to put their towers and all such kind of things. Okay. So this is the right of way, means they should be allowed, they should not be denied in these particular kind of matters. Now what has happened? This particular bill has provided that district magistrate has been empowered to deal with all these issues related to the execution of right of way. And if let's say that private landowner needs some compensation, suppose they want 5 lakh rupees, Airtel is giving 4 lakh rupees. So this is not the matter of right of way. They are ready to give them permission, but the compensation amount is not decided. Then that particular matter, these matters will go to the district judge. So right of way matter has also been taken up. Then further moving on. Also, in this particular bill, it has been provided that there needs to be an online grievance redressal mechanism to deal with the grievances related to pesky calls and messages. Now see this particular thing, that guys, what is happening? Often you might be receiving the calls and messages from the services which you have not subscribed. They are offering you credit card, they are offering you bank loan, or such kind of messages you are getting. Okay, you never subscribed to their service, but still you're getting messages. Telecallers are calling you. Okay, so right now you cannot approach Airtel, okay, that and you cannot report a particular type of calls. Now what has happened? Basically, there needs to be an online grievance redressal mechanism where these irritating, bothering calls you can report. And particularly telemarketing companies, they have to take the consent of the user. Okay, they have to take consent of users, that can we contact you for giving you information about our bank offers, can we contact you to give information about the new credit card. So such consent also has to be taken. Then there is also one more issue that has come. It is not clear if OTTs are covered. Now what is OTT? They are talking about the telecommunication OTT, communication OTT such as WhatsApp, Signal, Telegram, etc. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that for so many of the months there is this one controversy going on. What is this controversy? Controversy is like this, that see, such as companies such as the Airtel Jio, they provide this thing that we have invested thousands and thousands of crore rupees in deploying infrastructure. And what is actually happening? WhatsApp has come. WhatsApp is giving the voice calling service on their platform. They have not invested thousands of crore rupees in setting up the towers and all such kind of a thing. What is happening? They are giving the same service. They are giving the same service. They are giving the same service. Okay. And now they are competing with us. Today, people, rather than making call through Reliance or Airtel's network, people, what they are doing, they are directly making call through WhatsApp. They are directly making calls through Telegram. So mobile companies say that we are facing the loss. We are facing losses because of this. So they want that these OTT telecommunication companies, WhatsApp, Telegram, they on them, they should also come under the purview of this telecommunication bill. They also need to take a license. Now, what happened? Earlier government, they said that these OTTs will be covered, but in this bill they have not mentioned about OTT. So it is not clear that whether these OTT, WhatsApp, etc. will come under this purview or will not come. Okay, so this clarity will come over the days. Then next, what happened? So guys, when we had the earlier Telegraph Act, this earlier Telegraph Act has allowed the government to take temporary possession of any telegraph in case of any public emergency. Also guys, earlier what happened, the government had a power that they can intercept, okay, they can suspend telecom services, internet shutdowns can be done, and if you see, so many internet shutdowns have been done. Now what will happen? This particular power has been kept in the domain of the government. Government can still shut down the internet, can suspend the telecom services, and all such kind of a things can be done. So all these particular things have been retained. All these particular things have been retained. Okay. So this is guys all about it. Then what has happened? Government can declare the telecommunication network as a critical telecommunication infrastructure. Okay, and penalties up to 5 crore rupees have been imposed. Fine for major violations, for minor violation, less punishment is also there. But up to 5 crore rupees punishments have been there if this particular law will be violated. Okay, so these are the major provisions of this particular law. Okay, I hope guys that you have understood it. Okay, so this is all about this particular article. And with this, now we'll go to the next article. Okay, now I have done it quite exhaustively, and not only Hindu but Hindustan Times, Indian Express also we have covered. Now it is not really required that you should go beyond this. Okay, next article, legislative decline. Okay, now guys, if you have seen the today's newspaper, on front page also this article has come, and in editorial also this article has come. So actually what has happened, you might be knowing that recently some people, they entered the parliament, okay, which was the major security breach, and then on those people UAPA charges have been have been imposed. Now MPs are questioning government that you need to give answer that how this major breach happened. How this major breach happened, you need to give the answers. Okay, so this is one reason. And then guys, there are other also, these MPs are protesting. So actually what has happened recently, 78 opposition MPs, they have been suspended. Okay, earlier 14 MPs were suspended already, and now in total 92 MPs have been suspended. Now in total 92 MPs have been suspended. And the moment these MPs are suspended, the telecommunication bill that we discussed, it was also brought. And it has been said that since 2014 up till now, 94 total suspensions have happened. And in this winter session, 92 suspensions have been done. So suspensions that happened in last 9 years, similar to that, suspensions have happened only in this winter session, that is 92 suspensions. Now article is saying this particular thing, that when we talk about the suspensions, earlier also suspensions have been done. It has been said that the Lok Sabhas between 2004 to 2014, at that point of a time suspensions have been done. But suspensions were not only from opposition party, suspension of MPs were also from the ruling party, which were unruly or which were not following the decorum of the house. But this time what has happened, MPs specifically from the opposition party have been suspended. And it is being said that it is a democratic backsliding. It is a democratic backsliding. Now it has been provided that when we talk about a democracy, fine, effective functioning of a democracy depends on discussion, debates that will be done in parliament. But if MPs are suspended from the parliament, then how discussion and debates will be done? It has been said that opposition plays a very important role. It plays the role of a constructive critique, keeps government in check. Okay, and even in our parliamentary democracy, we follow the responsible form of government. Okay, opposition plays government in check. How that particular thing will happen if MPs are not there in the house? It has been said that for bringing it has been provided this particular thing, that when we talk about the democracy's functioning works on deliberation, discussion, transparency. And it has been said that not just televised speeches are needed. Okay, not just televised speeches are needed, that okay, the proceedings are on the television, but you need to give freedom to opposition also to ask the questions. But when they have asked the question, they have been sent out of the house. It has been said that over the years, what actually has happened, bills are getting passed without adequate discussion, amendments have been disallowed, underutilization of standing and parliamentary committees. Okay, also guys, what has happened, in the past, many of the international reports have labeled Indian democracy with certain derogatory terms. For example, what has happened, VDEM Institute, it characterizes Indian democracies as electoral autocracy. And recently, US based Freedom House has declared India as partially free. Now, why these particular things are being done? It is because of these undemocratic things that have happened. Now, see, this thing is true that a house order should be maintained in the house. This is true. Order should be maintained in the house. This is true. But at the same time, opposition specifically is being singled out, then it gives a bad impression. So this such kind of a things should be kept in the mind. Now, moving on, and let's take the next article. A blow for the rights of legislature in law making. A blow for the rights of legislature in law making. No. Basically, guys, recently we have seen this particular article multiple number of times. We have seen this, that what has happened, many of the state governments, they have approached Supreme Court that governor is deliberately not passing the bill, is keeping the bill in the pockets, or is not giving the assent to bill. Okay, and they say that what is happening, appointed governor is negating elected legislature. And in this pattern, many states have approached Supreme Court. Punjab, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, they have approached Supreme Court. And Supreme Court has given a judgment in the case of Punjab government. And this judgment is called as a State of Punjab versus Principal Secretary to the Governor of Punjab case. And in this particular case, what has happened? Chief Justice of India has given a creative interpretation to Article 200 of Indian Constitution. Now, what is Article 200 first of all? Article 200 deals with the options that a governor is having. Article 200 deals with the options that a governor is having when a bill is presented to governor. And as per Article 200, it is provided that governor has 4 options. Number 1, governor can give assent to bill. Number 2, governor will withhold the assent to bill, that I will not give the assent. 3, governor can return the bill to the house if it is not a money bill. Governor can return the bill to the house if it is not a money bill. And the last is governor can reserve the bill for the president. These are 4 options that are there under Article 200. Okay. Now, basically, the problem is on this provision. First problem is on this withholding the bill. Now, guys, what is happening? Governor withholds the bill, means I will not give an assent, and bill then dies. If you see, there have been many prominent constitutional commentators. For example, D.D. Basu. You might have read also the D.D. Basu's Indian polity book. So D.D. Basu, and even in Lakshmikant, it has been written that under Article 200, when governor has withhold the assent, bill dies a natural death. Means bill gets over there only. Okay. Now, Chief Justice of India, Supreme Court has given a new interpretation to Article 200. They say that if the assent has been withheld, bill will not end there. Now listen very carefully. Bill will not end there. If governor has withheld the assent, then governor has to return the bill to legislature. Governor has to return the bill to the legislature. And then legislature, if sends back bill again to governor in the second time, governor has to pass the bill, governor has to give the assent, governor has no other option in this particular capacity. So basically what has happened? Okay, the judgment says that if governor decides to withhold assent, he has to send it back to the assembly immediately for reconsideration, in which case he has no other options. If second case assembly sends the bill, he has no option, he has to give the assent. So actually what has happened, governor's power has been severely diluted. Governor's power has been severely diluted. Okay, governor's power has been severely diluted. So this is something that has happened, and it is very important with respect to the governor's role. One thing. Now second issue emerges. And what is the second issue? Second issue is this, guys, that actually what has happened, governor, they have started doing one more thing. What they do, rather than giving approval to the bill, they send all the bill to the president. And specifically Tamil Nadu and Kerala governor has done this particular thing. Out of the 8 bills that were given to governor of Kerala, he has referred 7 bills to the president. So they are sending the bills to the president. Now you see this thing. You know already that president acts on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers at the center. So means central government got the power in the matters of the state. It is a breach of federalism. So governor is referring to bill to the president. Now this particular thing now needs to be investigated by the court. This needs to be invested by the court. So basically now the court is going to examine the issue that what bills can be reserved for the consideration of the president. Now see, if we read Constitution has given us certain hints that all the bills cannot be reserved for president, only specific type of bills can be reserved for the president. For example, here we have some hint. Article 213 is there. It deals with the ordinance making power of the governor. And it provides that under this provision, governor can promulgate an ordinance only with instruction from the president. So there are certain matters on which the governor can promulgate ordinance on the basis of the instruction from the president. Under clause B of Article 213, it is provided governor can promulgate an ordinance only with instruction from the president in a case where he would have deemed it necessary to reserve a bill containing the same in the ordinance. Okay, now we'll just read the provision and then we'll make a sense out of it. Okay, now see, there is also one more specific category: bills which derogate the powers of the High Court. See, bills that will impact the power of High Court, such bills have to be reserved for president. Then guys, understand this particular thing, that there is Article 254. Okay, now see, you might be knowing already that there is the 7th schedule. Under the 7th schedule, there are 3 lists that are there: state list, union list, concurrent list. On state list, state will make the law. On union list, union will make the law. And in concurrent list, both can make a law. State as well as union, both can make a law. Now guys, there are certain matters in the concurrent list, means state can make a law. But there might be a possibility that on that subject already union law is there. And today if state will make a law, then it might come in contradiction with the union law. Are you getting it or not? That is a possibility. Okay. Now, one thing, keep in mind, please keep in mind. One more thing, guys, keep in mind, that understand this particular thing, that Article 254 clause 2, it provides that a state law on an item in the concurrent list will prevail even when it contains the provisions repugnant to the provisions of the existing central law, if it has earlier been reserved for the president and president has given the assent. Now guys, understand this particular thing. Understand this thing, that on concurrent list, both state and union can make a law. Suppose on a concurrent list, already a union law is there. And if state makes a law, and if it is coming in contradiction with that union law, state law will go away. But if state is making a law, if it is still impacting the union law, but that bill was reserved for president, and if president gave the approval, then that particular bill will prevail. So it indirectly shows us the possibility. Means that if a state is making a law on the subject of concurrent list, and that particular subject, on that particular subject already if a union law is there, then such type of bills can be reserved for president. So we get a clear idea only in two cases. Number one, if a bill will impact power of high court, and second, if a state government is making a bill on a subject in concurrent list on which already union law is there, such matters can be referred to president. Apart from that, we don't get any such idea that what more type of bill can be reserved for president. So these are the two interpretations. Okay, but now Supreme Court has to clarify it more. Supreme Court has to clarify it more. Okay, so we understand from the analysis that governor cannot send to the president all the bills, only specific bills are there. So Supreme Court need to give more better clarification on such thing. Okay, so that is all guys about this particular article. Then we have this article, what does COP28 mean for cities? Now this article we'll see for GS paper number 3. By the way guys, yesterday I have made a detailed video on UNFCCC COP28, and in that particular video we have discussed entire environment related dimension of climate change, UNFCCC COP28, issues in COP28, Stockholm Conference, 1992 Earth Conference, all those things we have taken up. So I will advise you that please, if you want, watch it on a 2x speed, watch that particular thing, you will get the idea about all UNFCCC COP related issues. Now, so guys, recently UNFCCC United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Changes 28th Conference of Parties was held in Dubai. Now, it is providing, now this particular article is specifically focusing that if you want to make climate change mitigation as a success, if you want to ensure that the carbon emissions is to be reduced, cities' role is very important and cities' role is to be taken in account. Now, here we have some data. So, now see, first conference of parties of UNFCCC was held in 1995 in Berlin. So, at that point of a time, 44% of the people lived in cities. Currently, 55% of the people are living in the urban areas, and urban population will reach to 68% by 2050. Now, understand this thing, that today the urban world, urban cities, they consume 75% of energy and are responsible for 70% of the CO2 emissions. So, cities, urban areas' role in carbon emission is very important. So, therefore, city governments, municipal governments, local governments' representation in conference of parties is very important, but this has not given that much importance. Now, this particular year's conference of party, there was one special day that was dedicated. To ministerial meetings on urbanization and climate change. Basically, ministers which are representing the urban development. Okay, these ministers were given representation. The meeting convened ministers of housing, urban development, environment, finance, and such portfolios. Okay. Also, guys, what has happened? As ministers of urban development are being invited to discuss COP28, one day was given to these ministers. City representatives such as mayors, municipal councillors across the world, okay, they have said this thing, that why municipalities representatives, mayor, they are not being they are not being invited to COP28. Why their views are not being asked? They emphasized that nothing for us without us. If you are not inviting us, you should not make law for us. Even civil societies, they have provided that cities representation should be invited in COP28. Now, city representatives, that is mayors, etc., they are arguing that sub-national governments, means the city level governments, okay, they are very important in global climate change negotiations, because at the end of the day, they are the one who has to implement everything. So ask them. They are the one who can give you the out of box ideas, out of box imagination. So this is something that has been brought here. Now guys, when we talk about the cities of global south, now global south is a term that we use to refer to the developing countries. So cities of global south, such as the cities of India, cities of South America, Latin America, cities of the countries in the South Asia, Southeast Asia, these cities are more vulnerable to climate change. Now see, when we talk about the cities, in these cities, we see this particular thing that major employment in the developing countries, it is in informal sector. Okay, often the people, they don't have any social security net, so they are more vulnerable to climate change. Okay, 40% of the urban population in the developing countries, they are living in slums, and these slums areas are always threatened by flooding and extreme climatic events, etc. Okay, also socio-economic inequalities are huge in these particular cities. So therefore climate change impact will be huge in these developing countries, cities, and their government should be invited into the COP negotiations. Now it has been provided that during the preparation of the NDCs, now NDCs, nationally determined contributions, these are the goals that have been taken by every country. Okay, cities find themselves excluded. Fine, here also cities are not being included. Now guys, if we see, cities can play a very important role, and here we have example of Chennai. Chennai has adopted the climate action plan and had said that Chennai will become zero emission city. Zero emission target they will achieve by 2050. India's zero emission target timeline is 2070, but Chennai says that they will become carbon neutral by 2050. So cities, if they are encouraged, if they are nudged, they can play a very important role in climate action. So there should be given importance. So this is one dimension, guys, that you can use in urbanization. This is one dimension that can be used in your urbanization as well as the GS paper number 3 related answer. Urbanization is mentioned in GS 1. Okay, moving on. Now here we have one article. PMLA accused can be given copy of ground of detection within 24 hours, Supreme Court. Okay. Now nothing much is there, guys. Just one observation has been, one thing has been clarified by Supreme Court. But before going in this particular article, let's see some basic information. PMLA stands for Prevention of Money Laundering Act. You know what is the money laundering? Money laundering is a process of making money through illicit means as a clean money. Suppose there is a person is doing some drug trade, or person has earned some or had got money by extortion. Now that money person cannot spend, because if he will spend, authorities will ask that from where you got the money, you have not paid the tax. That money can even not be deposited in the bank account, because they will ask from where you got the money. So this dirty money is to be converted in a clean money, means money from a legitimate business. And this conversion is called as the money laundering. Now we have Prevention of Money Laundering Act, and this particular act is very stringent. Now this particular act, now see, suppose a person has done a crime, then FIR will be lodged against that person, and when a policeman is going to arrest that person has to be given a copy of FIR, that okay, these are the crime, these are the cases, these are the sections that have been imposed against you, and this is the reason we are arresting you. Now that copy that person can give to the lawyer, and lawyer can prepare the case. But under PMLA, the copy of FIR, ECIR is actually not given to the person. Person does not know that why I am being arrested. Okay. So therefore it has been said that actually this is going against Article 22. Now understand this thing. Article 22 of the Indian Constitution, it is the fundamental right, which upholds the fundamental right of person who is in custody to be informed as why they have been arrested. So they say that why they are not being given this information, their Article 22 is getting violated. Now Supreme Court had said that immediately the copy of charges is not to be given, but the copy of charges can be given in 24 hours. Okay, detailed ECIR still will not be shared, but the copy of charges, that okay, what are the charges have been imposed, okay, they can be given in 24 hours. So this is just that have been given by the courts. Okay, one more thing, guys. So this is the end of the articles. One more thing, guys, that one question I would like to ask you, that we have been giving mains practice question from so many of the days, but the response on that particular mains question has not been very much good. So just I want to ask you guys that should we continue giving that mains practice question, because response has not been very good. Okay, so please let me know that thing, that if it is needed or not. Okay, if needed, then we'll see that whether we should continue it or not. Okay, fine. So that is all for today. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.